Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine avataravarishthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. So during the last session, we were just trying to summarize the fundamental tenets and doctrines of Ramanuja's philosophy of qualified non-dualism, that is Vishishtadvaita. Now there is a constant criticism sometimes from different quarters, as if there is a contradiction, a total conflict between Advaita and Vishishtadvaita. That is non-dualism and qualified non-dualism. This conflict is only at the level of philosophical debates, dialectical level. When in terms of our spiritual life, there is no real conflict. So, remember, there are two perspectives. Whenever we talk about conflicts, this conflict is only at the level of ideas, concepts with regard to the nature of the Supreme Reality, God, or the status of this world, that is Jagat, and the status of these different living beings, Jivas. So I would like to make that point clear in today's session. Now, the main conflict between Advaita and Vishishtadvaita is with regard to the status of Jiva and Jagat, the individual souls and the phenomenal world. So we'll try to explain a little bit of that. Now, according to Advaita, this phenomenal world, this Prakriti, is not fundamentally different from the Supreme Reality. But there is a difference. This world itself is not Brahman, but it doesn't have an existence independent of Brahman or separate from Brahman. So, according to Advaita, Paramatmanaka Sakashat Abhinna Api Bhinna Eva Triguna Paramatma Shakti Ajnana Padavachya Tadubahita Paramatma Jagato Mula Prakriti. So, of course, the Prakriti is a word used in Sankhya system of philosophy also. In Sankhya system, Prakriti means Pradhanam. It is one of the two fundamental, totally different, distinct categories in Sankhya philosophy, Purusha and Prakriti. Prakriti is the source of evolution, but it is by its nature non-effulgent, it is Jada. It is distinct from Purusha and it is the source of evolution. All the 23 principles constituting this phenomenal world are evolutes of Prakriti, another word is Pradhanam, which is totally distinct as a category from Purusha. So it is a pluralistic system, in the sense more than one reality, Sankhya system. But in Advaita, Prakriti of nature or nature is not fundamentally distinct and different, because if it is treated as a fundamentally different categories, then Advaita itself will be disturbed. I mean, Advaita Hani means it will violate the fundamental doctrine of Advaita, which tells you there is only one reality, Ekameva Advaitam. So Advaitins will tell you that this Prakriti is constituted by three gunas, Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna. It is a power that functions within the realm of Paramatman. And its basic nature is Ajnanam. So the word Ajnanam or Avidya used in Advaita doesn't mean ignorance in its simple meaning. I mean, ignorance or means lack of knowledge. It's not lack of knowledge or anything. It is not a fundamentally different category. It's a state of our level. I mean, when we are not aware of our true nature, when we have not yet realized our true nature, that we are Atman, that state of absence of our inner awareness is called ajnanam. So, when we look upon Paramatman, the Supreme Reality, from the perspective of this relative absence of realization, which is called ajnanam, then it is called prakriti. That's why tat upahita paramatma jagato mula prakriti. Now, according to Ramanuja, Paramatmanaga sakashat vastudo bhinnam trigunatmikam pradhanam jagato mula prakriti. According to Ramanuja, prakriti is a distinct and different category, different from Vishnu or Vasudeva or Sriman Narayana. That is Ramanuja's concept of supreme reality, Atman, Brahman, Dasaguna, Sakara, Savishesha. So you have to remember, in Ramanuja's system, the supreme surrender or bhakti is towards Vishnu, another name is Sriman Narayana, and Lakshmi. The same surrender idea, prapatti, is found in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's system also, Ajintya Bheda Bheda. But their surrender is to Krishna and Radha. So anyway, this we will discuss later, but we have to understand. So, in reality, this world is, or the Jagat or Prakriti is distinct and different from Brahman. It is dependent upon Brahman or God, but it is a distinct category. And again, in Advaita system, Ajnanena Paramatmani eva idam jagat bhasate ayam vivartavadaha. And in Ramanuja system, pradhanameva antaryami Ishwara sanidhyat jagadakarena parinamade ayam parinamavadaha. So these are two different schools and approaches in interpreting cause and effect relationship in Indian philosophy. So two of the most well-known approaches. There are many views according to Sankhya Yoga and Nyaya and Vaisheshika, and according to Buddha, different schools of Buddhist philosophies like Vijnanavada, Shunyavada, and Sautrantika and Vaibhashikavada, both realistic and idealistic schools of Buddhism. There are different views, and Mimamsakas, there are different views with regard to the cause-effect relationship. How and why this creation takes place, and what is the relationship between all of us and this phenomenal world with God. So in Ramanuja system, it is very simple. According to Ramanuja, this world padhanameva antaryami Ishwara sanidhya jagatakarena vartade. So this phenomenal world is actually Prakriti itself. But Ishwara sanidhya, in the presence or due to the antaryamita, means because it is immanence of the Supreme Reality, that Ishvara appears, not appears, actually have become, according to Ramanuja system, the Ishvara has become this world. So, Jagadakarena Parinamade, Ayam Parinamavadaha. Parinamade, so means really becomes, transforms itself. In other words, God Himself has become this world. God has evolved and has undergone modification, real change, and become this world. And all of us are the Chit and Achit. All the Jivas and the Jagat are evolutes, or the effects of evolution taking place from God. God has evolved and become all this. Really, God has transformed Himself into this world. The really is very important. Because in Advaita system, this transformation is there, but it's only apparent transformation. I gave the example for this. It is called Vivarta. So, Vivarta is the approach with regard to the cause-effect relationship in Advaita. Parinama is the Sanskrit name for the approach in Ramanuja system, Vishishtadvaita. Parinama means real change. For example, as I gave example, the oil seeds becoming oil. Why do we call it real change? Because oil cannot again be turned into oil seeds. Curd, for example, you call it yogurt, American yogurt. It comes from milk only. So it has become yogurt. Again it cannot go back to milk form. So it's a real change. These are two fundamental realities which have got the same status of ontological existence, which means they are equally true. But in Advaita, gold only appears to have become a golden necklace, golden ring. Or clay or mud or soil only appears to have become different utensils from clay. So there is a change, but the change is only apparent. Why do we call it that appearance aspect is called Vivarta. So it's called Vivarta. No real change, but transfiguration or apparent change. The English translations frequently are used, but there is always a problem with regard to translation in some of the philosophical systems, not only in Vedanta systems or Indian philosophy, but even when you translate certain technical terms from Western philosophy into the vernacular language of India or any other country, there will be always a little bit of problem. Every translation is only an approximation of the real term. That's a fundamental principle in linguistics and philology. So anyway, Vivarta and Parinama. Vivarta is the approach in Advaita, Parinama is the approach in Vishishtadvaita. And now comes the next very important point. Advaitins will tell you, Paramatma Vivarta Bhudam Pradibhasikam cha idam jigad mithya eva nadu satyam. That means this phenomenal world, this empirical world is mithya and not satyam. Brahma satyam jagat mithya jivo brahma eva na aparaka. This is the essence of Advaita. So they will tell you Paramartha Vivarta Bhudam, that Paramatman or Brahman has undergone Vivartam. Vivarta means apparent change. For example, the gold has undergone a change, so it becomes a golden necklace, golden ring. The clay has undergone an apparent change, so it takes various forms, like a jar, like a cup, or maybe a pot. So it has undergone this apparent change, okay, Vivarta Bhudam. So Pradibhasikam, it just appears to have become like that. So it is called Mithya. Now it is called Mithya. So what is the meaning of Mithya? We will discuss very soon. On the other hand, according to Ramanuja, Pradhana Parinama Bhudam cha idam jigat satyameva natu mithya. Ramanuja makes it very, very clear. In fact, he has written very elaborately during the early pages, the early stages of Sri Bhashyam. It's a commentary on Brahma Sutra. It's called, Maha Purvapaksha. So actually, these some of the fundamental objections of Ramanuja against Advaita, based on this concept of avidya and maya, mithya, all appear in Sri Bhashya. So altogether Sapta Anubhavattivada means 7 untenables, means 7 illogical points with regard to Advaita from the perspective of Ramanuja system. It's a bit technical. So I will try to explain if I get time today. Otherwise, I will explain later. This is very important. It's a very, very profound example of different views in Vedanta philosophy. Sapta Anubhavativada of Ramanuja. It is actually closely linked to this. So according to Ramanuja, he says, Pradhana Parinama Bhudam Chaidam Jagat Satyameva Nadi Mithya. He says this world is a reality. It is as real as God Himself. God is immanent, present in everything. It is Antaryami. It's an immanent reality. It's an indweller. So now in contrast to this, Shankaracharya will tell you, well, if you look at, let's say, human being, a man or woman, who are just human being, who is he? Ramanuja will tell you, he is a body-mind complex in which God is present as an indweller, as Antaryami. So he uses the word Pradhanameva Antaryami Ishvara Sanidhyad. So this applies to external world, Achit, and also Chit, all living beings. The only point is, all living beings, they are also effulgent, their Chaitanyam is there, Antaryamitvam is there. But in terms of status, there is a fundamental difference. Ishvara is Chaitanyam is infinite. But for living jivas, ordinary jivas, individual souls, there is a limitation. So Ramanuja says, this world is real. In other words, what he says is, this pot has become a jar made of, clay has become a pot made of clay. And the same clay has become a jar. So he will tell you that the different shape and the name, Nama and Rupa, will give each mud cup a distinct entity, a difference, and that difference is fundamental. That's what Ramanuja says. And of course, Madhvacharya also will say the same thing. But still there is a relationship between the jar made of clay, the pot made of clay. All these utensils do have a relationship with the clay. So there is Antaryamitum, so Apruthak Siddhi. I mean, this is non-distinct, but still not the same. So Vishishtadvaita contains elements of Dvaita and also elements of Advaita. Distinction, difference is there, but at the same time there is also an element of identity. Still it is not technically called Bheda, Abheda, because Bheda, Abhedavada is a different school, technically in Vedantic tradition. We will discuss that later. So Ramanuja says this world is real, because it has got a status, it has an ontological status which makes it distinct from Brahman or Ishvara. Now, in contrast to this, Shankaracharya will tell you, Parinama Vivarta Bhudam Pradibhasikam Chaidam Jagat Mithya Eva Nadu Satyam. So, it is Mithya. Now, what is the meaning of Mithya? That requires a lot of description. What is the real meaning of Mithya? Mithya does not mean unreal. It is surprising that the word Mithya, Avidya, Maya, these terms are so terribly misunderstood and misinterpreted. Mithya in Shankaracharya system is not a category. There is only a single category in Advaita, and that category is Brahman. So frequently you find in Vedanta Desika's works, and more predominantly in the Dvaitins' works, with Madhvacharya or Trivikrama Pandita, and most importantly you find in the Vaditirtha, Jayatirtha, and again in Vyasatirtha's Nyayamrita, they would say Mayavadina. Ete sarve Mayavadina. All these are Mayavadins. Advaita is not Mayavada. Advaita is Brahmavada. So Maya is not a category in Advaita. But this is not recognized or understood, unfortunately, by many non-Advaitic philosophers. But if you read any English translation, you will get away with the impression, unfortunately, that Maya is a category. Because Maya is indescribable. So long as we are living in a state of absence of awareness of our true nature, which is called avidya or ajnanam. So long as that ignorance of our true nature persists, we may think that a pot, a jar, all made of the same clay, is a distinct entity from each other. So in Pancha, Bheda Siddhanta in Dvaita system you find. That's why Samkshepa Sharirakara, I mentioned this earlier in the previous one. He says, he says, he has a famous statement in the Samkshepa Shariraka. Vivastidesmin parinamavadi soyam samayadi vivartavadaha. He says, Samkshepa Shariraka, he says. So, Vedantavade parinamavadaha. So, Vivartavadasya purabhumo Vedantavade parinamavadaha. Vivastidesmin parinamavade soyam samayadi vivartavadaha. So at the beginning we may think that the clay has really become the pot. The gold has really become golden ring and golden necklace and so on. But then you break the pot and it becomes clay. You break the jar made of clay, it becomes clay. You melt the golden necklace, it becomes gold. You melt the golden ring, it also becomes gold. So that means gold has not really become necklace or ring. Gold has taken a new name, nama, and a new form, rupa. Because it has a different rupa, it has got a different nama. So that's why Vedanta Vadasya Prathamabhuta means at the first stage, we may think Vedantavadi Parinamavadaha. Parinama or real change is the idea that comes to us. Then Vivastidesmin Parinamavade Soyam Samayadi Vivartavadaha. When we actually go further in the true nature of things, then you realize that actually gold has not really become golden necklace, golden ring. They only appears to have become. In other words, when we are in a state of the true nature of our own Sarupa, that we are Brahman, in that state, we may think this world is real. Everything is real and everything is eternal. And again, the word real, if you use the word capital letter R, it's called Paramarthika Satta in Advaita. If you want to define something as Paramarthika Satta, it should remain the same in the past, present and future without any change. There is nothing in this world which remains the same in the past, present and future for billions of years. This cosmos, these galaxies, they also undergo changes, only in terms of billions of years. So anything that undergoes change in time, in space, is real, but not absolutely real. Is real only in the relative sense, but not real in the absolute sense. Because if you want to call it real in the absolute sense, it should remain the same. It should be Trikala Adidatvam, it should have entered Satvigara Adidatvam. It should be beyond the 6 changes. Jayade, Asti, Vardade, Viparinamade, Abhakshide, Vinashyati. Which actually Yaska, himself Niruktam, he begins at the very beginning of Niruktam. This is how he mentions this in the early pages of Niruktam. The absolute reality should be beyond any kind of changes. And also it should be Trikala Abhadidatvam. It should not be affected by the changes in the past, present and future. So, anything that undergoes change, anything that undergoes any modification in time and space is real only in the relative sense, not real in the absolute sense. That is called mithya. So mithya is not something that is absolutely unreal. Mithya is something that is neither absolutely unreal nor absolutely real. It is not absolutely real because it changes. It is not absolutely unreal because we experience it so long as we are within the realm of ignorance. It's called mithya. So, and that state of absence of inner spiritual awareness of our true identity with the entire existence, Aham Brahmasmi Dhanabhuti, that state is called the state of ignorance. That state is the state of mithya. That's why there are 5 definitions for mithyatvam. The first one, of course, in Shankaracharya's commentaries, there are differences, there are different expressions. But during the post-Shankarite developments in Indian Vedantic dialectics, many great books were written and many dialectical exchanges took place, mostly between the great dialecticians of Advaita system and the great dialecticians of Dvaita system. Actually, there were very few dialectical confrontations between Vishishtadvaitins and Advaitins, because after Vedanta Desika, Vishishtadvaita did not produce such outstanding dialecticians comparable to the Dvaitins like Vyasatirtha and before him Jayatirtha, Vaditirtha and others. So, in Vyasatirtha's Nyayamrita, which goes back to maybe 15th century. He was the Rajaguru of the Vijayanagar Empire, Krishnadevaraya. So, he wrote this well-known dialectical masterpiece called Nyayamritam. It was an attempt to refute Advaita. So, in that book, what he did, one of the most distinct contributions of that book to India's philosophical dialectical tradition is he took up 5 definitions of mithyatvam. The world is mithya. How this mithyatvam or the mithya nature of this external world is proved to be the reality in 5 important books written by Advaitins. That is Panchapadika of Padmapada, who is a disciple of Shankaracharya, Panchapadika Vivarana of Prakasatmayedi, who followed Padmapada, then the 2 definitions of Mithyatvam in Panchapadika Vivaranam, and again there is an important Mithyatvam definition in Tattva-pradipika, that is Chitsukhi of Chitsukacharya. And the 5th one, the 5th definition is in Anandabodha's Nyayadipavali. So Vyasatirtha in his Nyayamrita takes up all these definitions And he tries to refute them in his Nyayamritam. And Madhusudana Saraswati, who wrote a refutation of Nyayamritam, defending Advaita, he defended these 5 definitions. So remember, the first definition is sadasatta anadhikarnatvam va mithyatvam. So sadasatta anadhikarnatvam. It means anirvachaniyatvam. That means the indescribable nature of mithya. Because mithya cannot be called real. Because if mithya were real, it will always remain there. That means you can never get moksha. You can never get liberation. If mithya were unreal, then there is no need of any spiritual practice. So, if you are already liberated, if you read Gaudapada's Karika, you find na nirodho, na chotpatti, na bandho, na sadhaka, na mumukshur na vai muktaha ittesha paramarthata. Such statements, I have already given almost 144 lectures on Mandukya Karika with Bhashya. So, you find Gaudapada says there is really no bondage, no liberation, no need of any spiritual practice. But what Gaudapada says in that book is the state of the enlightened person who has reached that state. But before one reaches that state, it is wrong to make the statement. For the ordinary jivas, there is a problem. So there is a bondage, and that bondage can be got rid of only by attaining sadhana chatushtaya sampatti and sravanam mananam nitidhyasana, vichara marga, etc. So in Panchapadika, Padmapada defines mithya as sadasatta anadhikarnatvam va mithyatvam. There cannot be any adhikarana, any support for something that is neither real nor unreal. In fact, such a statement itself is logically non-tenable or untenable. This is the line of refutation that you find in Vyasatirtha's Nyayamrita, who tried to refute this Padmapada's view. Actually, that's what Ramanuja develops as Anivachaniya Anupapatti in his Sapta Anupapattivada. The second definition is by Prakashatmayadi, who wrote Panchapadika Vivaranam. There he says, Pradivannobadhu Traikalika Nishedha Pradiyogitvam va mithyatvam. So, when you mistake a rope for a snake, because of your impression, your memory of having seen a snake sometime in the past, you superimpose the snake on the object that you are seeing in front of you, which apparently looks like a snake. But it's not a snake. When you bring light, the so-called snake idea goes away and you realize it is a rope. So the snake actually did not exist before you brought light, when you wrongly mistook it to be a snake. The snake doesn't exist when you bring light. The snake idea only existed in our mind. That is called adhyasa, smrutirupa, because of some memories of seen a snake in the zoo or somewhere. And when you see an object very similar to that in front of you, you mistake the snake memory, and that you think it is a snake. So, Pradivannobadhu Traikalika Nishedha Pradiyogitvam va mithyatvam. That is mithya. That means, actually, the snake did not exist either the past, present and future. This again in Prakashatmayadi's Panchapadika Vivarana. In the same book, Prakashatmayadi gives another definition, which also is taken up by Vyasatirtha in his Nyayamrita. That is, Jnana Nivartitvam va mithyatvam. So when you get spiritual enlightenment knowledge, then you get freedom from this entanglement of mithya. So, something that goes away, that disappears, that is driven away, and then the result is jnanam. So, something that is removed by jnanam, and that is ignorance, ajnana. If somebody runs away when there is sunlight, the running person should be darkness. So, again, but you cannot say that darkness has a positive entity. But it just goes away. So, that is jnana nivartitvam. The fourth definition is, it is swasya nishtha, it is that is swasya nishtha atyanta bhava pradiyogitvam va mithyatvam. Swasya nishtha atyanta bhava pradiyogitvam. That is in Tattva Pradipika, that is called Chit Sukhi by Chit Sukhacharya. Again, the fifth one is Sadviviktatvam va mithyatvam, something that different from the fundamental reality. So, the point is, mithya is not a category. Mithya is a state where we make some mistake due to absence of real knowledge. So, that state has no beginning, but it has an end. That's why, you cannot say, when did the rope become a snake? The rope never became a snake. But when did the snake idea disappear? When you brought light. So it has an end, but not beginning. So it's very often, many non-Advaitins, they make the mistake. Because Brahman is Anadi and Ananta. It has no beginning, no end. Because it is Shadvikara Atita. It has just no birth, because it always exists. It has no death, because it always exists. It has no growth, evolution or decay, because it never undergoes any change. So Jayade, Asti, Vardhade, Viparinamade, Apakshiyade, Vinasati, Shadvikaras. Brahman is beyond all these changes. Now, sometimes non-Advaitins misunderstand that Maya is Anadi. So, it is Ananda. Maya is not Ananda. You are away from Maya. You get rid of Maya when you become enlightened. When you bring light, the snake idea goes away. So, snake is only an idea. It is only pratibhasika. So, this creates lots of problems among Advaitins and Vishishtadvaitins. That's why the Sankshepa Sharirikakara says, Vivartavadasya Purvabhumau Vedantavade Parinamavadaha Vivastidesmin Parinamavade Soyam Samayadi Vivartavadaha. Vivartavadasya Purvabhumau. In the early state of awareness, before we are not fully aware, we are not fully aware of the true nature, we may think that the gold has really undergone and has become something else and has become a necklace. But when we melt it, it goes back to gold. We may misunderstand that the clay has actually undergone a fundamental change, has become a pot. When you break it, it goes back to clay. That's why Vivartavadasya Purvabhumau Vedantavade Parinamavadaha. We may start believing in Parinamavada, real change. But when we analyze, we understand that change is not real. You break the pot, it goes back to clay. So this is a very, very important point. So in Ramanuja himself said Vedartha Sangraha. It's actually a shortened form of Bhashya, Brahma Sutras. Sarva Sharirataya Sarva Prakaram Brahma Avastidam Iti abheda samarthitah. At the same time, ekameva brahma nana bhuda chit ajit vastu pragara nanatvena vastudha midhi bheda bhedocha. So you find there is abheda. Vishishtadvaita is Advaita, but it is Vishishtaikyatvam, means there is a unity and oneness, but that is conditioned. Sarva Sharirataya Sarva Pragaram Brahmayeva Avasthitam. Is Brahman only. Is the Abheda Samarthita. So there is we accept all unity and oneness of Brahman. That is fully understood. At the same time, Ekameva Nana Bhuda Chit Achit Vastu Pragara Nanatvena Avasthitam Idi Bheda Bhedo. So Nanatvena Avasthitam. There is plurality, there is manifoldness. So there is Bheda. At the same time, there is Sarva Sharirataya Sarva Pragaram Brahmaya Avasthitam. There is Abheda. So you find in Vishishtadvaita both elements of Advaita and also elements of Dvaita. Because conditioned, Brahman conditioned by Chit and Achit. So all these ideas of, Sharira, Shariri, Sesha, Sheshi, Niyanta and Rakshaka, Rakshya, all these Amsha, Amshin, all these you can find. Niyanta and Niyamya are two different. Niyamya is this Jivas and Jagat. Niyanta is Brahman. So there is a difference and also there is a non-difference. Advaita is there, Dvaita is there. So Anivachiniyam cha idam jagat ajnanadoshena bhasade iti anirvachiniya khyadi. So khyadivada is an important element in Vedantic dialectics. So there are different khyadivadas among the Mimamsakas, among Ramanujains, among Advaitins and Vishishtadvaitins and Advaitins, that we will discuss later. It should be treated entirely as a different topic. So, but in the summarization of some of these elements in both Advaita and Vishishtadvaita, we will limit to the present context. So, according to Advaita, Anirvachiniyam cha idam jagat, this world is Anirvachiniyam. It is Maya. So, Sannapya Sannapmi Bhyat Migano, Bhinnapya Bhitnapmi Bhyat Migano, Santapya Asantapmi Bhyat Migano, Anirvachin, Mahat Buddha Anirvachiniya Rupa. So, neither Sat nor Asat. Sannapya Sannapi Bhyat Migano, Bhinnapya Bhinnapmi Bhyat Migano. It is neither Bhinna nor Abhinna nor the combination of both. Sangapi Asangapi Bhyat Migano. It is neither whole nor composed of parts or combination of both. It can be described. It is beyond definition. It is beyond description. It cannot be called a reality because it's not a category. But you cannot dismiss it away because you are within that till you realize your true nature. Till you get Brahmajnanam, you are within Maya. At the same time, and Maya is the source of this Jagat. Because Maya is the absence of our true nature. And due to absence of our true nature, we mistake this world of plurality as a distinct entity, as something different from the supreme reality. Because there is not enough light, you mistake the rope for a snake. At the beginning, a child may think an ornament, necklace or ring made of gold is different from the gold. But when he goes deeper in his spiritual evolution, he will understand that actually the same necklace, the same ring, both have come from the same gold. So that's why that Vivartavadasya Purvabhumo Vedantavade Parinamavadaka. We may think the gold has really become the golden ornament or necklace. Vyavastidesmin parinamavado swayam samayadi vivartavadaha. So when we actually analyze, then vivarta, the reality of vivarta becomes automatically obvious and it becomes a fact for us. So they believe that this Jagat cannot be defined, just as Maya cannot be defined. On the other hand, so they believe in Anirvachaniya Khyati. I mean, the approach to analyze the reality is that it is indescribable. It is beyond words because it's neither Sat nor Asat. That is Sadasatta Anadhikarnatvam va Mithyatvam. That is Padmapada's definition of Mithyatvam. And Ramanuja says, Vastutaha Satyameva Jagat Pratiyate iti Sarvatra Satkhyati. Ramanuja's system says, in reality, Satyameva Jagat, this Jagat, this world is actually real. Iti Sarvatra Satkhyati. So this is I think if we go deeper, you will understand there is a difference between a golden necklace and a golden ring. People wear necklaces on their neck and they wear rings on their fingers. You drink water with a cup made of clay, but you use a jar or a pot for storing water. So there is a difference. But that difference is only difference in terms of the shape and also the name, Nama and Rupa. Nama and Rupa give it a distinct entity, that is true. But that distinct entity is only conditioned. You break it, it goes back to the same clay. You melt golden ring and golden necklace, it goes back to same gold. So this is an important thing. Or put it another way, well, we can say, suppose you take let's say a fruit. A fruit has got a seed within, and the tree that gives you the fruit comes from the seed. Only if you plant a seed, you get a plant, you get a sprout, and it becomes a tree. But then a seed cannot exist. Normally you find a seed has got lot of other things around it, then only it's called a fruit. An outer shell, then something inside, and inside of everything you find a seed. So in reality, seed is the real thing. Because if you just plant a seed, you get a tree. If you plant the outer shell, you won't get a tree. But then without the outer shell, the seed cannot exist in this world. Nobody will buy a mango seed. You will buy only a mango. This is a fact. So in a way there is a truth in Vishishtadvaita and there is a truth in Advaita also. So from a spiritual perspective, you evolve from Vishishtadvaita towards Advaita. If you begin with Dvaita, the Panchabheda Siddhanta, there is difference in everything and between them. Difference between different jivas, different entities in Jagat, and again different between Jiva and Ishvara and Jagat and Ishvara, the difference among themselves. And then when that's from Dvaita, Panchabheda Siddhanta, and then as you evolve, you find, well, there is same divine reality present in everything, everywhere. Still they don't appear to be the same. There is Bheda and Abheda. There is Advaita is there, but Advaita seems to be Vishisht, conditioned by internal changes. That's why Ramanuja accepts Swagata Bheda. So, this is an important thing to remember. But at the same time, we know that the real reality behind every fruit is the seed, because seed is the real thing. That's the source of the fruit and the tree from which the fruit comes. So, we will continue this discussion next class. We can ask questions. You are most welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
So the path of karma of Jnana Yoga appears to fit the template of Shankaracharya in the sense that sadhana acquisition of sadhana chitya followed by the Atma-vichara via Shravana Manana and Nididhyasana.
That's
what
true.
What about the Karma Yoga, Swami? Is that...
Yeah, I tell you. So,
is that? Is that subpart?
So Karma Yoga is the very beginning, is a kindergarten in spiritual life. At the same time, Karma Yoga is natural to the highest spiritually enlightened person. Karma Yoga becomes a natural habit for every enlightened person. But for those who are beginning the spiritual life, they have to begin with Karma Yoga. Because Karma Yoga helps you to attain Chitta Shuddhi, mental purity, and eventually you get the spiritual prerequisites which will help you to evolve in spiritual life. Another very important point, so I want to mention this, very important. It's very important. You mentioned Sadhana Dushta Sampatti. It's very important. Now, those who may be beginner, that is these the four important disciplines, that is Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, Igamutra Phala Bhoga Viraga, Samadhi Sarka Sambhati, Mumukshutvam. A kind of a sense of what is real, what is unreal, then give up the unreal, upholding the real, and then certain internal disciplines, external disciplines, and a strong urge for liberation, spiritual enlightenment. And then you read the scriptures, Sravana, Manana. Now remember, these things are common not only to Advaita. Any person who takes to spiritual life automatically will be imbibing all these qualities. It is clearly mentioned and defined in Vivekachudamani and also in the Sanskrit commentary by Sringeri Shankaracharya. It's a well-known commentary. So, it is clearly articulated as 1, 2, 3, 4 like that in Vivekachudamani. It's a small Prakarana Granthas, not very small, more than 500 verses. But then, you find a follower of Ramanuja's system who is aspiring to become a prapanna, who is aspiring to practice prapatti. He also will have all these qualities. It's important. Any person in any tradition or a Christian mystic, somebody like Saint Teresa of Avila, also will have all these qualities. Strong urge for spiritual enlightenment is common. And that gives you a lot of internal self-restraint, moderation, these qualities. And also a sense of renunciation of worldly things. And also a sense of what is real, upholding the real and giving up everything. So these become natural for any person who takes to spiritual life. Even for you to have an interest in listening to this lecture, you need a little bit of the sadhana drishtya sampatti. There are many wonderful things you can read in this world or listen to in this world. But people take interest in serious spiritual, transcendental, mystical teachings because they have a sense of all these internal spiritual disciplines. So there is no doubt about it. So sadhana drishtya sampatti, the 4 disciplines mentioned in Vivekachudamani, are common and universal for any sincere spiritual seeker. It is obvious. It is clearly articulated in Shankaracharya's Vivekachudamani. And when you practice Karma Yoga, you automatically imbibe all this. Slowly you develop all these qualities. So that's very important.
So in summary, what you are saying is, the other yoga paths, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, they only result in cultivation of sadhana chatushtaya, chitta shuddhi. You still need to do atma vichara via Shravana to reach the end goal.
As I mentioned to you, Shankaracharya himself says, as you know, कर्मनिष्ठायाः चित्तशुद्धिद्वारेण पुरुषार्थहेतुत्वं न स्वातन्त्र्येण ज्ञाननिष्ठा तु स्वातन्त्र्येण पुरुषार्थहेतुः अन्यन अपेक्षा. So karmanishta will certainly take you to the highest purushartha moksha, but not swatantrena, not directly, but certainly indirectly. Why it's called indirect? The reason is karmanishta will automatically develop in your mind these great qualities of sense of renunciation of worldly things, great devotion to some higher spiritual disciplines and moderation, all these qualities. So karmanishta will help a person to gradually develop this sadhana-drishtya samadhi. It is not a distinct path. It is actually a development of certain fundamental spiritual qualities in our mind and emotional system. That is sadhana-drishtya samadhi. That's all. Thank you. So next, anyone else you can ask. Most welcome. Yeah, namaskar. Yeah.
While you were talking about nitya, I looked up an article. I found an article. It was entitled Advaita Concepts of Maya and Mithya.
Advaita?
And he talks,
could you repeat once more? Advaita? Advaita?
Advaita Concepts of Maya and Mithya.
Okay, yeah.
So he talks about the same, basically the same things that you have been talking about, and he ends up talking about the knowledge of absolute reality. So he says, how does this knowledge help? What is the use of this knowledge of absolute reality? It helps in reducing the importance we attribute to this waking world. It allows us to be detached and practice karma yoga. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, actually, this, again, it is not an intellectual concept. It is an inner experience. But at the same time, even as an intellectual concept, the idea that everything in this material world is transient, is impermanent, it helps you. And it can help you to practice unselfishness, inner detachment in our everyday life. So in that respect, little bit of this intellectual association with these ideas can certainly help a person to practice karma yoga. Otherwise, somebody may ask this question, why should I practice karma yoga? Why should I do my duty as an offering to God? Why can't I act with total selfishness, greed? What is wrong if you practice greed? People may ask this question. So the greed can help you to make more money, perhaps cutthroat profits. But then, if you realize the profits, the money, the wealth you generate is transient, is impermanent, then why should I take all the trouble? I have enough. Why should I be greedy? So, the idea of mithyatvam, or the transitoriness, the impermanence of these empirical things, can certainly help you to develop certain spiritual qualities. And if you develop those spiritual qualities, then you may become inclined to practice karma yoga, which requires little bit of unselfishness. It's a very important point. So, an intellectual understanding of Maya and Mithya can certainly be very helpful. Even when you get a report from your doctor that you got a serious illness, okay, and if you believe, if you practice Advaita, it can help you. Oh, this health, body, all these things come and go. They are transient. If you get information that you lost a lot of money in the stock exchange, your money is bound to go. Money comes and goes. It's impermanent. Everything in this world is impermanent, transient. That gives you a kind of spiritual common sense, and that actually helps you to deal with the problems of this world. So even as an intellectual concept, you may not have realized spiritually. You may not have realized this as a fact in a spiritual inner experience, but you're familiar with this idea. Even as a familiarity with this idea will be of immense practical help to any person who lives in this world. So Advaita has got a lot of practical utility in real life. After all, when you face a very unpleasant situation, even the unpleasant situation also is impermanent. So that gives you a lot of common sense. So I think this concept of mithya and maya has got a lot of psychological value, even as in counseling. It can remind us something that we frequently forget. Everyone knows that you cannot always succeed or you cannot always earn money. So if you lose something, you won't be shocked. You face the reality with greater wisdom and intelligence. That's a practical utility of this idea of mithya. Thank you.
Swami?
Yeah.
You did explain, but I'm still a little confused
as
to why Vishishtadvaita is called Advaita at all.
I told you earlier, Vishishtadvaita is called Advaita because there is an element of unity and oneness in Vishishtadvaita. Why unity and oneness? Because God is present in everything as Antaryami. Sarva Sharirataya Sarva Prakaram Brahmeva Avasthidam. Brahman alone, Brahman in Vishishtadvaita concept means Vishnu or Lakshmi or Srimad Narayana. The same Lord, God, exists in all bodies. They are parts, amshas. And God is amshin, the whole. Everything is amsha. So again, God is a controller. Everything is controlled by Him. So niyamya niyanta. So there is a kind of relationship. And there is a kind of non-distinction because God is present in everyone as a spark, divine spark. But still, all the jivas in this world are not equal, not the same as God. There is a distinction. So there is a distinction. This is also non-distinction. Non-distinction, sarva sarirataya sarva prakaram brahma eva. Same Brahman exists in all bodies, in all entities, so many different ways. There is abheda, means there is a non-distinction, non-difference. At the same time, it is ekameva Brahma, it is same Brahman, but nana bhuda chit achit vastu prakaram nanatvena. But the same Brahman exists as so many manifold entities, empirical world, and also different living beings, jivas, individual souls, and also the empirical entities, achit. So there is plurality and manifoldness. At the same time, there is a unity and oneness. So there is a non-dualistic element, there is also a dualistic element. Dualistic because it is a condition, it is called Visishta Aikyam. Unity and oneness, but is conditioned unity and oneness. In Advaita, there is unconditioned unity and oneness by its very nature, Surupa Aikyam. So the difference. Okay, thank you. In spiritual evolution, what happens? See, and surprisingly, I will tell you, if you read Shankaracharya's Stotras, the Advaitin teacher, in Shankaracharya's Stotras, hymns, devotional hymns. There are 68 very great, very grand, very profound, very moving devotional poems, poetry. Huge. And actually he wrote more than 100 poems. But 68 are so famous. He went to a temple, Divine Mother's temple, and he chanted Saundari Lahari. And he went to Shiva temple. There also he found the same reality in the form of Shiva. Went to even Gangastakam, Yamunastakam, he could see the divine presence, even the glory, the grandeur of the flow of river Ganga, river Yamuna, the beauty, the grandeur, the charm of nature. There also he saw the presence of the divine. All these poems are so grand. If you listen to them, even if you don't know the language, it has got a mystical charm, magical charm about it. It captivates your heart. It brings down even BP. And actually, that's the power of Shankaracharya Stotras. And there you find Dvaita also. In one he says, actually in Saundari Lahari, I did not pray to you. I did not do anything to you. I am a humble devotee. And then at some point, he says, you are present in everything, everywhere. And at some other point, you are the same reality present in me. You see. So you find Dvaita, dualism, Vishishtadvaita, qualified non-dualism, and Advaita, non-dualism in Shankaracharya Stotras. Kasora means hymns, devotional hymns. So where do you draw the line? So from an Advaitic point of view, there is no such thing that is inferior or superior. You are evolving from Dvaita through Vishishtadvaita towards Advaita. In a broader sense, I tell you, the only example, the only parallelism that I find in Christian mystical literature is Meister Eckhart. When Meister Eckhart refers to the indescribable nature of God. To define God as Holy Trinity itself is an incomplete understanding of the indescribable reality, inexplicable reality. But same Eckhart also speaks about devotion. Of course, I want to warn you, if you read Rudolf Otto's book on Meister Eckhart, there's a problem. Rudolf Otto's understanding of Shankaracharya's devotional philosophy is absolutely lopsided and incomplete, because he is not able to understand anything about the devotional element of Advaita. He totally forgets and neglects it, because he says in Eckhart there is a lot of devotion, in Shankaracharya there is zero devotion, because if he had not even read translation of one of the devotional hymns of Shankaracharya. So even Shankaracharya wrote much more than Eckhart on devotion. If you just get a collection of Shankaracharya's devotional poetry, that's enough. You can place him as a great Acharya, teacher of devotion. Important thing. So, the reason why I'm making this statement, unfortunately, many of the original books in Sanskrit were not available in translations till our own times. Shankaracharya's devotional poems were not translated into English. On the other hand, many portions of Bhashyas were translated, but devotional poetry was never translated, unfortunately. So that's why many of the Western readers did not have the good fortune to read Shankaracharya's devotional poetry. Of course, T.M.B. Mahadevan and a few other authors recently in 20th century, have written translations. And you can get them from our own bookstore here. Okay, Vedanta, our bookstore, you can find. Okay, you can just get online copies. That some of this, just 5 or 6 I mean, there are many, but some of them are already translated in English. You can get. You can find so much of Dvaita, so much of Vishishtadvaita, so much of Advaita. There. That shows in spiritual evolution, you don't draw a line. In dialectical systems, you may put them in different watertight compartments. Thank you. So okay, we can.
I had a question regarding like what exactly constitutes karma yoga.
Yeah.
You mentioned that karma yoga is much more for people who are beginning their spiritual journey.
Yeah.
So for people who have advanced in the spiritual journey, won't it be their duty to guide other people also along that path?
Yeah.
Or does that constitute like karma yoga as well?
Yeah.
So I had this
Thank you. It's a very practical question, very important question. So the point is, when we work with a lot of zeal and application and concentration and a lot of enthusiasm, but also with a lot of expectations, lot of focus, lot of I want to enjoy, so I will work hard, I will be very efficient, I will make a lot of money, I will succeed. The problem is you may eventually succeed, but you will not have success in an unbroken succession. No one can expect to succeed all the time in every activity. You may succeed less, sometimes succeed more, sometimes total failure also can happen. Great success also can happen. So our mind may respond to these experiences. And this response, the way we react to our experiences in life, creates a lot of wounds, it creates a lot of worries, a lot of complaint, a lot of sometimes depression. So how to keep our mind healthy? How to avoid the problem of becoming depressed when we fail? To realize that we are not expected to succeed all the time. It is impossible for anyone to succeed in every undertaking that he goes for. Failure is as much a part of life as success. So you cannot have a coin with only one side. Then what do? We don't give up work. We work with full concentration. But we keep in our mind that I may not always succeed. There is a possibility, a remote possibility, that maybe I may fail. Once you keep that in mind, slowly you develop the ability to look upon success and failure with the same equanimity of mind. So you work with all enthusiasm, with all efficiency, with all effectiveness. But keep in mind, still I may not always succeed 100%. I may succeed only 99%. So that possibility is there. Once we do this, we develop an ability to look upon success and failure with same equanimity of mind. So, in other words, in fact, I can quote one important verse, this is very important. Saktaha karmanya vidvam soyadha kurvandi bharata kurivyan vidvan tatha asaktaha chigishu loka sangram. Gita, it says, just as a person who wants to succeed, who is very enthusiastic, very much attached, who is not practicing karma yoga. He is very greedy, very active, fully focused and concentrated. And he may succeed. With the same enthusiasm, you should work with the same efficiency, maybe far greater efficiency. But you should not be attached. Attached means you should not be obsessed with 100% success in every activity you undertake. That is wisdom. The wise man, he also works with the same efficiency. He may be working in what is the most wonderful place in New York, Wall Street. He may be a big man in Wall Street, making billions of dollars. But he knows that sometimes he may lose money. So he is able to look upon success and failure with some degree of equanimity, even-mindedness. That's the advantage of karma yoga. That is called karma yoga. The wisdom that helps you to realize that there is a possibility that I may not always succeed 100%. That wisdom, if you have that wisdom and you work in this world, you are safe. That is the method of karma yoga. And this has two dimensions. This can be a discipline for a beginner, but it becomes natural for a Buddha. It becomes natural for a Buddha. It becomes a discipline to be deliberately practiced for a beginner. That's the point. Is it clear to you? Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Any more questions? Yeah.
I don't see any
So,
other.
okay, thank you.
I have one more small question.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
why does this dualism actually exist in this world? For example, light and darkness. Darkness is basically there is no light. But why is it not there is no absolute darkness as such? There is always some sort of light that is there. I don't think I'm framing the question properly, but why is there dualism in general? Why isn't it less lighted and more light? Why is it like that? Why is it like light and darkness?
It is part of human evolution or intellectual and spiritual evolution. So eventually everyone, according from a spiritual perspective, everyone is heading towards the highest Advaita. But no state is wrong or it is so it doesn't mean that something is wrong, something else alone is right. It's a gradual evolution. Dualism also contains some great truths, no doubt about it. Dualistic philosophers, sometimes great devotees, who have a lot of focus on their devotional practices. That's a great thing. But dualism has the possibility of fanaticism. That's the one problem. That's a reality. But dualism also has produced many great devotees, many great men, great women, others. No system, no approach is totally wrong. It's not that if something is right, it doesn't mean the other is wrong. The other is also a reaching, a gradual evolution towards higher and higher levels of spiritual experience. Thank you for the question. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we had a very wonderful question and answer session. Thank you. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you.
Wow.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you everyone. Yeah, thank you.